Before turning inward, it is necessary to recall what has already been established looking outward. There is a real, impersonal, lawful ground to existence. Call it the Logos, the Tao, the system of natural laws. This law of laws is not a human invention. It was here before any creature could perceive it, and it will remain when no perceivers are left. It is the source of every galaxy, every atom, every cause and effect that has ever unfolded. To call it God in the most abstract sense is not poetry, but a term for the foundation beneath all things, the beginning of everything and the rule by which everything continues. But here is the essential insight that follows from this. The Logos is not only out there, it is also in here. The same chemical laws that shape the birth of stars shape the firing of your neurons. The same physical principles that govern the orbit of planets govern the beating of your heart. The same cause and effect logic that unfolds across billions of light years unfolds in the quiet sequence of your thoughts. You are not an exception to the system of laws. You are a local expression of it. The Logos is not a distant monarch issuing decrees from afar. It is the very substance of your being, the hidden architecture of your body and your mind. This means that when you turn inward, when you close your eyes and try to sense the basis of your own existence detached from the noise of the surrounding world, you are not turning away from reality. The ground beneath your feet and the ground beneath your consciousness are the same ground. The law of laws is not somewhere else. It is everywhere, including here, including you. This is why the idea of God has always felt inherent to human beings, not merely imposed from culture or invented out of fear. People want to see the image of God inside themselves. The mystics who speak of finding God within are not always engaging in wishful thinking. They are exploring the inner pole of the same reality that the physicist explores with a telescope. And there are descriptions across centuries and cultures of what happens when people engage in such inward contemplation. They speak of calm, of light, of a quiet, steady presence beneath the chattering mind, of a sense of being held, of resting in something larger than the ego. These are reports of real experiences made possible by the fact that the nervous system, when quieted, can sense its own deep grounding in the lawful order of existence. The beneficial effects are well documented: reduced anxiety, increased emotional regulation, a lasting sense of peace. This is not magic. This is the psychological consequence of aligning the conscious mind with the fundamental structure of the organism that supports it. But human beings do not encounter even this inner ground directly. No one is built for direct encounter with the thing in itself, whether outside or inside. The brain is built to perceive, to represent, to translate raw reality into the textures, colors, stories, and meanings that a nervous system can handle. Consider light. What exists outside the human skull is not color, but electromagnetic radiation, waves of varying length and frequency. These waves have no redness, no blueness, no greenness. They are simply oscillations in the electromagnetic field. But the human eye, connected to the human brain, does not and cannot perceive raw electromagnetic waves. Instead, it translates those waves into something else entirely: the rich, luminous, meaningful world of color. Red is not out there. Red is a construction of the visual system, a way of representing a particular wavelength so that the organism can navigate its environment. The apple is not red. The apple reflects light at a frequency that the brain, through millions of years of evolution, has learned to label as red, because that label helped our ancestors find food. This is not an illusion in any simple sense. It is the only kind of access to reality that a brain-bound creature can have. Every perception, every concept, every experience of the world is shaped by the structure and function of the nervous system that produces it. There is no direct pipeline to the thing in itself. There are only models, translations, representations, all of them inevitably colored by the apparatus of the representer. Now consider the gods. When ancient people encountered the vast, powerful, and mysterious forces of the natural world, the storm, the earthquake, the fertile field, the silent stars, their brains did what brains always do. They produced a representation, and that representation was shaped by the structure of the human mind, just as surely as the perception of red is shaped by the structure of the visual system. But what were they representing? Not nothing, not pure fantasy. They were representing the real, impersonal, lawful ground of existence. But they could only represent it in the language their brains had available, the language of persons, wills, intentions, stories. The gods are to the laws of nature what the color red is to electromagnetic radiation. The radiation is real. The redness is a constructed translation, also based on the laws of nature. Neither is a lie, but neither is the whole truth. So far, the story has looked outward. The human mind looks at the storm, the sky, and the vast, lawful cosmos, and paints a face on it. But there is another source for those faces, one that is close to home. It comes from looking inward. The gods and goddesses imagined in the heavens are also reflections of the eternal dramas playing out in the hidden depths of the human psyche. The Logos is out there, impersonal and real. But the Logos is also in here, and the faces given to it come from in here. To understand this inner source, a simple idea from psychology is needed: the archetype. One should think of archetypes not as specific images, but as universal blueprints for human experience. They are the deep patterns of the inner world: the nurturing mother, the courageous hero who faces the unknown, the mischievous trickster who overturns rules, the guiding wise old man or wise woman. Everyone knows these figures instantly. They are the fundamental characters in the story of being human, appearing in dreams, fantasies, and the tales told to children long before they appear in any holy book. Where do these blueprints come from? They are not handed down from the stars. They are etched into the species by the same natural world that shaped human bodies. They are the internal imprint of nature's most persistent patterns. The mother archetype is the human experience of the life-giving, protective, nourishing force first encountered in the womb and in the natural world's abundance. The hero is the pattern of the individual journey, the call to leave safety, face trials, and bring back a boon for the tribe, mirroring the necessary cycles of growth, struggle, and renewal in life itself. These psychic structures are nature's laws, written in the language of emotion, relationship, and story. Now, something fascinating happens. The pattern-seeking, personifying mind does not keep these inner dramas separate from the outer world. In a powerful act of projection, it casts these inner archetypes, these fundamental forces of human nature, onto the cosmos itself. The external personified force of a storm does not just get a face, it gets the face of a wrathful, powerful father or a chaotic trickster. The fertile earth does not just get a spirit, it gets the profound, nurturing character of the mother. The mysterious source of wisdom and law is not just a cause, it becomes the wise old one. The impersonal logos, the law of laws, the ground of all being, this ultimate reality is given the face of a king, a judge, a father, a shepherd. But here is the deeper twist. Because the logos is also inside the human being, the act of projecting these faces outward is also an act of recognizing something inward. To call God Father is not merely to invent a comforting fiction. It is to give a name to the source of one's being using the most intimate language available, the language of relationship, of origin, of care. To turn inward and seek the basis of oneself is to touch the same logos that holds the galaxies together. And to describe that encounter as a meeting with the divine is to use the only language available to describe the indescribable ground of one's own existence. This is why many religious and philosophical traditions have always insisted that the divine is both beyond the self and within the self. Out there in the vastness of space and in here in the quiet of contemplation. The same law of laws, the same ground, the same mystery. Philosophers have named these two aspects the transcendent beyond ourselves and the immanent within ourselves. Mythology is the poetic fusion of two natural intuitions. First, the intuition that there is a real, lawful, powerful ground to existence, the logos, the source, the law of laws, present in every galaxy and every cell. Second, the intuition of the powerful, driving forces within the human soul, the archetypes that structure human experience, themselves expressions of that same logos. The internal drama of the psyche and the external reality of the cosmos become one single sacred story. The impersonal becomes personal. Therefore, the pantheon of gods is more than just an explanation of weather and seasons. It is a grand psychological mirror. In it, human beings see their own inner landscape, their capacity for love and fury, for creation and destruction, for wisdom and folly, magnified to cosmic scale and playing out among the stars. But it is also more than a mirror. It is an attempt to relate to something real, something that is both the ground of the cosmos and the ground of the self. Gods were not invented merely to explain the world. They were invented to relate to the world and to the self. The gods are the representations of human psychology projected onto the screen of nature, and these representations are themselves formed by nature. It is nature trying to represent itself through a human. And due to the natural mechanisms of the brain, the overwhelming, impersonal, yet intimately present logos must be given a face, something to love, fear, plead with, and understand. And just as no one can stop seeing colors simply by understanding that they are brain-constructed representations, no one can simply discard the gods once their psychological origin is understood. They are part of how the human animal sees. The question is not whether they are real in some literal supernatural sense. The question is what they reveal about the kind of creatures humans are, and what they make possible, meaning connection, courage, peace, and a way of standing before the overwhelming mystery of existence with something other than paralyzing silence. The law of laws remains. The faces given to it are the only way people have ever known how to look upon it and not turn away. And sometimes, when a person turns inward and grows still, that law can be felt not as a distant ruler, but as the very ground of awareness, calm, light, and deeply, strangely home.